Tomorrow, President Cyril Ramaphosa will host the second presidential summit on gender-based violence, an important moment to assess progress since commitments were made by government 4 years ago. Let's speak now to Brenda Madumise-Pajibo, Director of Advocacy Group Wise4Afrika in Johannesburg. Advocate, thank you so much for your time this evening. And it's something that Heidi Jacos, who was talking to us just a few moments ago in the field, I think that's what struck home. She says women don't seem to feel any safer. Here's the question I want to start with. Do you believe that 4 years after the first presidential summit, after so many commitments to deal with gender-based violence, that women in South Africa feel safer than they did 4 years ago? Brenda, I think you froze just briefly. Let's just start again. Do women feel safer than they did 4 years ago?
Not at all. It's even worse than 4 years ago. It's compounded by a number of things. You have had a lackluster government responding to just violent crimes in this country, lack of political will, and just sheer downright incompetence and ineptness from all across. And I think unless we are honest with ourselves and the discussions that ensues tomorrow and Tuesday, that we ask ourselves the question, are the people in these government departments and ministries, do they have what it takes to lead this country and actually end gender-based violence? Then we will continue to have these discussions ad infinitum and in ad nauseum. And for me, I'm at a point where I do not believe that the people given the responsibility and tasked with this responsibility care that much to push the needle and act with urgency and speed. There's none of that.
So what is going wrong? Why this disconnect? Because we hear the president saying things very seriously, looking extremely concerned, setting up a national strategic plan that has come up with really good ideas on how women who've been traumatized should be treated when they arrive at a police station, for example. What is going wrong? Is it lack of care? Is it lack of capacity and resources?
Sally, it's a combination of things. I mean, let's ask the question. Once that national strategic plan was concluded and handed over to the president, what did government do? We know as of today that that national strategic plan was never funded and resourced. So you can't implement a plan that has got no budget, right? And that's where we need to start. So if you are going to be asking for accountability as of tomorrow, you need to say to South Africa, once the activists and government entities that worked on that national strategic plan concluded their work, what then happened to ensure its implementation? I can tell you, in civil society organizations and social movements, activists did what they could with the limited resources that they had to make sure that they, one, popularized the national strategic plan. But we are led by a government that should have led the way and led the charge in ensuring that that entire plan is implemented, is understood by every South African, so that we all contribute towards ending gender-based violence in this country.
We've heard that there's been a concerted effort to create safe spaces for women who arrive at police stations, that there should be a safe room at every police station. I mean, how much progress has been made in practical suggestions like that, for example?
So let's look at the design of our police stations. And I want all the viewers to just visualize how our police stations are designed, right? You walk into a police station, you are first met with a counter Sometimes it's got some pillars that you can't talk directly to the first responder on the other side. So that's the first thing that you encounter when you walk into the South African any South African police station. You then have to say why you're there. Once you have said what you're there, you're supposed to be then taken into a private room where issues of rape, of sexual assault, of domestic violence must be addressed and attended to. And we will be at this summit addressing some of the issues around the first responder responses to victims of gender-based violence, because we've got a litany of history and information of how we all get treated once we get into a police station to report either domestic violence, rape, sexual assault, and any other related gender-based violence incident or crime. So the design of the South African police stations leaves much to be desired, and we need to do better in ensuring that once I walk into a police station, I feel comfortable that my matter will be treated with urgency, with respect, and with dignity. The South African Police Service and police stations are inundated with things that are literally not supposed to be at the police station. And as citizens, we need to reckon with this. We all want to go to the police station to do an affidavit.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe they need to have a separate room for people who are coming to do affidavits outside the hospital. They can have a container for all of that. Because when you're competing with people are coming in to do affidavits to be sworn in, and you have people who are going to complete the accident reports and all of that, and you are there, you have just been raped, and you have to wait for someone to attend to you. That's indignity in itself.
I mean, we start with practical things, and I mean, this is the thing: is you're saying you actually need someone who just goes, right, these are the practical things we need to sort out at station level. Yeah. There's also obviously the issue of attitudes, where we know that women are still told when they come to report domestic abuse, go home and sort it out with your husband, where sex workers are told you can't be raped, you're a prostitute. Things like that. I mean, we don't have time to go into how difficult it's going to be to unpick those problems. But let's focus in a final question on tomorrow's summit. You're going to be there. I would imagine you're going to be calling for accountability. What is the one thing that we could start with changing? What needs to happen? Do we, because we're used to big gestures, we're used to big words, we're used to our police minister arriving at the scene of a horrific gang rape in Krugersdorp. But it doesn't really mean that much at the end of the day. So what one issue needs to be tackled? What one element do you hope and pray will be dealt with at the summit tomorrow?
Oh man, that's a tough one, because GBV is multi interrelated. So you don't address GBV in isolation of almost every plan that you have as a country, right? In fact, you need to, once we need to place gender-based violence in the debate and the solutions around gender equality, right? Because you can't divorce gender-based violence from that. So if we do not locate gender-based violence within the gender equality discourse, we will then have this start gap measures that we are putting in place. So for me, tomorrow and after Wednesday, what I am looking for, I'm not hoping, what I'm looking for is one, the leadership of this country understanding what accountability is and reckoning with accountability, and stop justifying and excusing themselves from not doing what they're supposed to do, right? Mm-hmm. So that's fundamental for me, because what we have seen over the years, we shift the responsibility, we shift the blame, we point fingers to anyone else but ourselves. Yeah. So for what I want to see after Wednesday, it's a reckoning by the president of this country, together with the entire administration, accepting the responsibility and their failures in addressing GBV in its not piecemeal like we are doing and playing to the gallery and like we are doing at the moment.
Yeah, thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. Good luck for the conference tomorrow. Wise4Afrika Director Advocate Brenda Madumise-Pajibo.